Good evening, all. Today, again, we come back to another episode of Mind Sparkle series. This is a series in which we bring people who are role models of the society. These are people who have, by the dint of planning, by their vision, and their hard work and determination, made a career and a successful career from their life stories. So we want to present their version of their life story, their ups, their down, and how could they proceed further in life in spite of having some obstacles. Everybody in this life faces some obstacle toward their success. So these role models are those people who will tell you the good part of their journey, the mistakes they made, and how they could overcome the mistakes and proceeded towards success. The role models are inspiration for all of us. And these are the people who exist just beside you. The another fact is that we don't know about them. So my mission is to get you connected with such inspiring people who may be looking ordinary. They may not be like the celebrity whom you read on the newspaper every day on the pages of the news, but they are the real role models of the society. They are just waiting to be explored. And I can assure you that we have a speaker today who is such an inspirational figure. And I tell you with all of my responsibility with the fact that she's from the Indian Army. That is a very, very glorious tag. In fact, a woman officer from Indian Army, I am also interacting for the first time. And that label itself is such a invigorating and inspirational in itself that it gives goosebumps. So today we have a motivational speaker who is a HR coach and a certified counselor. She has been coaching a lot of people all from all across the world, and she is a HR specialist also with a software company, and she is dealing with the foreign territories also as far as her job profile is concerned. But more than that, she is a personality development trainer who through her stint at army has developed a personality which is all success. So I wanted this series to happen so that the students who are on the verge of the career, at the crossroad of the career, can listen to such prolific figure and make out good certain qualities which they can imbibe from the speaker will go a long way in making them successful. And let me introduce to you Pragya Srivastav, ma'am, from Indian Army, and she is now for the last 20 years with the corporate sector, dealing with HR and personality development and training. She is an alumnus of Lucknow University, and she did her MBA from the prestigious MDI Gurgaon. Any one of you who are MBA graduate or aspiring to be an MBA professional must know about MDI. It's one of the most prestigious MBA locations in India. So with all these qualities, without wasting much time, I would like to invite the speaker of the day, Madam Pragya Srivastav, to take the center stage and motivate all of us. Madam Pragya Srivastav, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shahnawaz. It's such an honor to be part of this series, and I'm really, really happy, to be interacting with you all. And I hope with my stories, I would be able to motivate you all a bit, and might be able to give you some tips which will be very, very helpful in your life. So I have prepared actually a small slide deck, maybe that will help us to just walk through. So I would request Amir to put that, please. Yeah. So as Sir has given quite a big intro about me. I have around 20 years of experience, and I'm a certified life coach, counselor, and HR leader. Have been working in corporate for around 15 years now. So today's topic is what I'm going to talk about. Basically, is traversing the diverse challenges which we have, and how through my certain mantras I have been able to conquer those challenges. And I'll be sharing a couple of my stories which you will be able to relate maybe, and through that maybe you will be getting inspired or maybe learning few things. So the agenda for today, how I will be structuring this session will be, next slide please. Yeah, so we are initially we are going to talk about little bit on the challenges and uncertainty, and then I'll take you through my river of life, dreams and vision, and maybe I would also like to give you certain tools which will help you to design your own life story and make it a successful life story, right? Yeah. So moving on to the next slide. So before I start, I would like to share a story of a stallion. And as you all can see in this picture, there is this beautiful, strong-looking stallion. So the story goes like this. There used to be one old farmer, and he had this beautiful stallion, very strong and very beautiful, and he used to maintain this stallion very well. One day there was a race happening, and he thought of putting up his stallion in the competition, and the stallion participated and it won the race. So when it won the race, the people around there, his neighbors and his friends, they came to him, and they congratulated him, and they said, wow, it's so nice, your stallion has won the race. But this man was like, I don't know, this is good or bad, and he was like just neutral. So the people left him, and as the days passed, thieves around in that area also came to know about this precious, beautiful stallion. So one night they stole the stallion, and the next day, when people in the neighborhood came to know, they again came to this farmer, and they again they started offering their sympathy and condolences. So this guy was again, I don't know if this is good or bad. So people were like, what is this guy? He doesn't, as such, react. What's wrong with him? Anyways, a few more days passed, and the stallion in the interim broke away from its captors, and while it was coming back, it befriended some more mares and horses, and with few more horses, it came back to its master. So that was a big thing, and again people came from the neighborhood, and they started telling, wow, you are lucky, the your stallion has come back, and even there are few more mares which have come, so you are a rich guy now. So again this guy says, I don't know what is good or bad. So with this story, what I'm trying to tell you is about some theme. If we have to see which perspective is good, is it the perspective, feeling great of what has happened, or feeling bad, negative about what has happened? um, what would you say? uh, can we move to the next slide, please? So which perspective is true? Negative, this is bad, or positive, this is good? The truth is, whichever, yeah, click on please. Whichever you believe becomes true. So the theme is, um, there can be a lot of challenges, lot of obstacles, but it's up to you how you turn those challenges into opportunity or gift, right? So with that as the theme, I'm going to take you through my river of life, and share some interesting stories of army, and probably you will be able to relate at a lot of places. So I was born in an army family. My father is also from army, and I had always seen, the life in the camp, people in uniform, and a lot of actions happening around there. So when I was doing my graduation, I was studying maths and physics, and one day I went with my father to army canteen, and there I saw a woman, a lady officer in uniform, and I was so impressed to see the uniform. I started thinking that, probably this is the thing I want to have. This is something which I can aspire to be. I mean, being part of army family, I always wanted to do something different, do something for the nation, always having those patriotic spirit in me. But during those days, it was not, women were not still entering into army, and people were not so much aware about the career of women being in army. So with that in mind, I started passionately dreaming about it, visioning about it, thinking about it, while my friends and in the graduation were we all were preparing for different exams at that time, like MBA, engineering, bank PO, other government services exams. So while I was doing that, I was constantly following, reading the newspaper, and also trying to find out what is happening in the armed forces world. And as I was keeping my eyes and ears open, I started seeing that the advertisements on Air Force, Army, and all. And that is when I started applying for exams, and as the luck would have been, I got through. And but that joy of the joy when you get selected in something big which you have been dreaming was immense. But the road ahead was not so easy. So I joined the academy, and the first thing when I entered the academy, a statement which I read there I would like to quote: "We live by chance, we love by choice, we kill by profession." This is the statement which is written at Officers Training Academy, Chennai, and this was really motivating. Well, the training started, and training was not easy. It was yeah, very tough. A lot of physical. We had around 32 subjects. A lot of theory also. I mean, people would think that army is all about physical fitness. Yes, fitness is the most important thing. But as you join the academy, there are a lot of other things which are part of the curriculum, like your leadership skills, organization skills, military history, military geography, and computer, and a lot of other subjects. Apart from that, we had horse riding, swimming, and of course, we get trained in all sorts of weapon, right from the pistol to rocket launcher to mortar, and mine laying and all those things. So and each day in the academy is like it starts at 4 a.m. and you don't know when it ends. It's like you go for morning PT, then you go for parade practice, the in between swimming, then your classes, and then your evening classes, and then evening again you go for parade and games and all those things. So it's a very hectic routine. You don't get any time to think, and only thing one is looking forward to is days left to go. I mean, the day of your passing out parade. And a single mistake made during the training leads you to a lot of punishment. So you are always running and doing something or the other. But the joy of wearing the uniform and wearing when you pass out, when you have those shining pips, your stars on your shoulder, it's so good, it's so immense. It gives you such joy that you forget all the pain. And of course, the pride you get when you walk in the uniform, people saluting you, is great. So well, after the academy, we get posted in different arms and corps, depending upon what we have chosen. So I had opted for Corps of Engineers. Corps of Engineers is one of the combat arms, and it is the first one to go in the war and last one to come back. So basically, what Engineer Regiment does is it makes way for its own troop. If I have to say in layman terms, we make way for our troops, and we obstruct enemies' entry into our area. So how do we do that? We lay minefields, we make helipads, we make bridges to ensure that our army moves, and we lay minefields to ensure that enemy doesn't enter our territory. So, and of course, so that's why we go first in the war, to ensure that we are able to help other troops like infantry and other arms to get into the op area easily. We make bridges, we lay paths, we make tracks, so that tanks can pass over. And so that's how that's what is the engineer regiment's role. And so I was the first women officer in my regiment. So there was no I mean, there was no other lady in the regiment before, so I was the first woman officer among 1,000 men in the regiment. And it was very different experience for me, as well as the troops I was commanding. So the day when I entered, I started with morning PT, and we used to have 5 to 6 kilometer run in the morning. And that's where my training was, came in handy. So I could easily run at the same speed as my other fellow soldiers were running. And I think with that I started creating a positive impression on the people, because most of them were wondering, a women officer, a lady officer being here, and how she will survive. It's a tough place, and how would she do? How would she cope up? So as and when I started participating in various exercises, and when I say exercises, it is basically military exercises. So we started going to our op areas, and we started doing recce's. We started uh, doing uh, uh, doing a lot of field activities, and I was there everywhere. And of course, I would say I was respected for my uniform, the rank I wore. Not nobody saw me as a woman or a girl or a lady. I was always called Sahab, and I was always being saluted for my rank. And of course, my commanding officers and other regiment officers gave me equal treatment. And of course, were there to motivate me and help me wherever required. So interestingly, the that the year I got commissioned into my regiment, uh, we had two big military operations happening, which I could be part of. One was Operation Parakram, which was in 2001, where India decided that we'll go offensive and against Pakistan. After the parliament attack, an entire army was mobilized. It was one of the biggest military operations. And even my unit was mobilized, and we occupied all op area. And I was the intelligence officer there, and also the company 2IC at that time. So I we laid thousands and thousands of mines all across um, that op area which was allocated to us. A lot of accidents happened. uh, Unfortunately, one accident happened in my op area, where one village sarpanch has entered the minefield and he had died. And since it was my area, the the body had to be recovered. And getting into a minefield is like is like you are already called strength out, means you may not come back. And my commanding officer called me, and he asked me, Pragya, this is your area, so would you like to be part of, you would need to lead the team. So I took my best two person who were well best trained as per me, and we entered the minefield. And in desert, the issue is this was the desert area. So in desert, the issue is that minefield shift because the sand dunes shift. So when you enter the minefield, you actually don't know. I mean, there is a kind of map, where you know that this could be the area where the mines are laid, and there are different kind of mines. It's not that there's one particular mine. There are a mix of mines: anti-tank, anti-person, fragmentation. So you use different techniques to remove those mines and make a clear path and then go inside. So the serpent's body was in the middle of the minefield, and we had to clear the path and we had to go inside. And I mean, when you are there at that moment, of course you don't think that the order is an order, and that's how army operates. So I along with my men, we cleared the area. Luckily, we didn't face, I mean, there were some mines which we had to remove, but we didn't face any other issues, and we could get the body out. The body was fully blown, and I had not seen such a thing ever in my life at that time. So, yes, I think that day I earned lot of respect in eyes of my people, my troops, and that's one of the experiences of Operation Parakram. And there are so many of such kind, where we have I had been in the op area and done a lot of things. So I thought maybe I'll share one of these experiences to maybe get you the feel of how life of a lady officer can be in an engineer regiment. So after that, I went for another posting, and then I got married in between. And my husband is from Air Force. He's ex Air Force, and then we both decided to quit forces. That time, that decision seemed to be wise because it was really tough for us to manage postings together. And then we moved to corporate. So because I left in 6 years, it was not a pensionable job. The pension is starts from after you complete 20 years of service. But I started. I mean, I can say that I was again back to square one in terms of career. But at that moment, whatever seemed logical, I did. But what I had with me was definitely, the traits I had learned from army: never giving up attitude, taking the challenges, find the solution anywhere, everywhere you are. And then, of course, once a soldier, always a soldier, my ranks. So I didn't think much. I just, I had my vision that I'll do something in corporate. I have enough qualification, I have enough, and I had good confidence in myself. So I think what I'm trying to emphasize again is that I had some vision, and I had certain traits, certain mantras of life, like I can turn challenges into opportunity or gift. So entering into corporate, I got a first break with Infosys Mysore, where I worked as HR consultant. And then I worked with companies like Deloitte, Dr. Reddy's, ACT, Volaris, and now I'm working with Progress. It was, I think initially it was a new beginning for me, but I think once your attitude is right, when you have a keen interest towards learning, a career transition doesn't affect you as such. I think you learn to swim very fast if your basics are right. So I worked for some time, and then I had to take a break again because I was blessed with a baby and I became a mother. So that was again, I left the job, and I took a good 2 years break, and then again I was back in the corporate. I also tried. I also had my entrepreneurial stint in. I mean, I ran my training and OD consultancy, doing similar kind of thing, coaching college going kids, and providing trainings to the corporate and all those things. So this slide basically shows my transition from then to now, when I joined army, to the second picture shows the Operation Parakram time when I was laying minefields and all. And now this is me in corporate. So this is how, now my life has transitioned. And now that we are at this slide, I would also like to talk a bit about, career in army. I think because you all are college going kids, and you have a lot of the word is there for you. You have got so many opportunities. So one of the things which maybe if you want to is armed forces. I think it is one of the best career. It shapes you in so many ways. It is one place where you start earning from day one, and you are being trained for everything what is required. So if I had joined just after graduation, I learned everything in army in my 6 years of tenure. I mean, I was nothing. I was just a graduate, and from there, all the leadership skills, technical skills, I mean, so many things I learned from there in army. So it is one organization which gives you enough opportunity to shape up your career. And there are multiple fields in army, both for men and women. So you can join logistics, you can join communication, RT, infantry, and a lot of there are various fields. Moving on, so I thought, let me give you some tools which will help you to understand. I being from HR, maybe I thought, some HR touch should also come. So what is most important in my journey of life? If you see, I had a vision, and I would like you all to have a vision, and have a very bold vision. Let it be as wild, as audacious, as bold as possible. Because unless or until you don't have a vision, you cannot have you don't know which direction you are going. And don't doubt yourself. Whatever you are thinking, whatever is you are passionate about, just follow your dreams. Then the question comes, how do I achieve that? To achieve that, you also need to have certain goals. How do you define goals? So we say, I mean, generally in corporate word, we say SMART goals. So SMART means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Basically, the goals, you have a big vision, but you need to have the goals which are very very specific to reach that vision. What are the, suppose I have a vision, a plain example I could give. Suppose I say I want to be most very fit person. So if I want to be fit, what are the specific goals I would need to have? When I say fitness, maybe I'm saying that I need to be slim. Maybe I'm saying that I can run very well, or I am very very flexible. So if I have to again say what is my goal, so maybe I can say that my goal is to be at this x kg of weight with um, 100% fitness and flexibility. Further on the goals, we break it into milestones. Basically, like I to reach that, suppose 55 kg of weight, I need to reduce 10 kg. So that will be the milestones I would. So I will not reach 10 kg just like that. So I would need to have a goal that reducing 10 kg in 3 months. So to reach that, maybe in 1 month I'll reduce 2 kgs by having blah blah diet, or doing these kind of exercises, or these kind of yoga. So you need to be very very specific, defining the milestones. And then look at things from different perspective. If things are not working, so keep a track of things and see that, okay, this is not working. So maybe if I take a u-turn and take a mirror view, I mean, if I just look opposite and see what is not working, so you need to come up with a new perspective. So that's how, I mean, uh, and and be, for all that you need to be positive. So the first thing which I talked about, there will be situations where you will feel that things are not working out, and I've been trying and trying and things are not working out. So what do I do? Do I sit and crib about it, or do I take another view, take a different view, and turn this into an opportunity, rather than thinking and feeling bad about it? Okay. So next slide please. So to create this, I think what is most important is that you need to have some support system. So you might make a big plan, you might have your goals defined, you know what you want, you know which direction you are going, and you might be going in the right direction also. But if you have a support system in form of your mentor, coach, guide, friends, or family member, whosoever, with whom you can who can you know who can with whom you can discuss openly, who helps you in aligning, who pushes you, so it's important that you find that support system in any of these things, and keep your keep checking in regularly, so that you don't miss your alignment, you keep moving in the right direction. Okay. So I think we wanted to keep some time for question and answers. So I'm here to answer any questions you guys have, and we can talk.
Thank you, Captain Pragya. It was a very precise and to the point session. In fact, we are very much obliged for you to be a part of Operation Prakram, which saved us from so many things. And nobody
Yes.
knows actually that if that thing would not have happened, then we could have gone some few steps backward. So it was a willpower of our Indian nation to show to the world that we can mean business also. And it did mean business, and we came out victorious. So to be a part of that successful exercise is a long, long memory, and you can cherish it all your life. And in
Yes.
fact, there are so many things which you would never say, and we would never also ask you, because those are things which we from the also survey police forces, we know that there are certain
Right.
things which we do and we do not acknowledge, but for the countrymen and for the security of the people, we do so many good things, but those are not on the paper. So most of
Exactly.
the time we don't get rewards and credits for that. So the listener should understand that there are so many moments in the career of an army officer in which they must be saving you from imminent death or for destructions, but they are risking their life for you day and night in inhospitable terrains. Like
Exactly.
Pragya was mentioning that desert shifts. Yes, desert shifts, and you lose the way. You don't know where are you. The
Yeah.
entire things looks like the same. You
Yes.
start from one end and you reach the same end. So getting booby trapped into a sand dune is the horror that anybody can imagine. And see the army men and the brave hearts working out their duties just to protect us. So salute from our side, Captain Pragya, for such a brilliant operation. And we understand the immense risk you took as an individual for the safety of the country. And we are very grateful for to you and to many other army people who are doing day and night their duties. So it was a brilliant session which touched upon a lot of things. But there are few things which I'd like to ask you for the benefit of the audience.
Sure.
One is that, especially related to women, because you are such an inspirational figure for the women, those who are listening. Tell me one thing, other than engineering, what are the other career opportunities for women in the army right now? Whether combat is also a possibility, or other than engineering wing, what are those areas in which the woman can look for the career prospects?
So actually now there are a lot of fields in which within army where women can join. So but engineers is the only combat arm where women join. But equally, challenging is signals. Signals is basically communication. Then logistics, which is ASC, Army Service Corps. Then we have ordnance, and then we have in Army Aviation and Army Air Defense also women are joining. And then there is this Corps of Intelligence, which is another very good field where women can join. So all these actually, whether we say it's only infantry, RT, and armored which are which are certain fighting arms where women are not joining, but all other arms also, women officers go in field, they are deployed in all these operations, and they are pretty much operating in the similar way. And apart from that, medical is also there, so where as a doctor, people can join.
Captain Pragya, you mentioned that just after graduation you ventured into the army. So right now, did you take any coaching, or just it was a natural progression by you yourself prepared, or you did some coaching? So would you advise our listeners that is there any way in which they can directly prepare at home, or they can take some coaching, or what to do to get immediately into Indian Army after graduation, like you did?
Okay, so I actually didn't take any coaching, but with me, because my elder brother was preparing and my father was also from army, so I had friends who were preparing. I mean, mostly boys. So they knew the pattern of the exam, and they told me, this is how it is, and they were people who have experienced SSB. So I had slight idea. So I think it does help if you have somebody who can guide you about how the entire, because it's a 6-7 days SSB test is for 6-7 days, and there are group discussions, there are tasks which people to do, there is also entrance exam. So it's structured, and there are a lot of group activities. So uh, I can't say about coaching, but coaching may only help in a certain way, in a way that students can get to know how, get the feel of the entire exam. But what is more important there, I think, what SSB checks is your positive attitude, how you remain positive. So they give you different tasks, different work, and they see how you communicate, how how is your behavior with the group, and how you remain positive in different situations. So the tasks are designed in such a way that there is a pressure on you to complete it and do it well. So I think, but yes, if you have somebody who can guide you, and I can't say specifically about coaching, because what I have heard is that sometimes coaching teaches you so much that you start using their language, and it is visible that you are trained. So that part, you become over smart. So that also people say that it is not helpful, but I have my colleagues who had taken coaching and they joined army. So it's, I think, somewhere personal choice, but if you go just like that, I think you can get experience and then you can try again for it. But if you want to clear in one go, I think it's better to get prepared and meet some people who have some idea about SSB.
Yeah, well said. In fact, I like the word that you should not be over smart. You should not be over trained. Before training starts, you are trained. That means you are artificially
Artificial,
imbibing
yes.
those quality in yourself, and you are trying to just create that impression with the SSB board. So, but I have heard a lot of good stories about SSB that they really zero down to the person who has a mental toughness, and they
Correct.
look for people who can survive under pressure. Whether winning or losing is not the factor, but how he performs, how he
Yes.
remains positive, and how he
Yes.
delivers on the teamwork which he does. More than the individual aspect, the teamwork is looked after.
Absolutely.
So these are the good qualities which every individual should have, and it always helps you in other vocations of life. So that is the reason lots of army officers are at the topmost of the corporate hierarchy. We see, because
Yes.
that personality shapes them for such immense pressure-oriented jobs. So moving on to our next question, one audience has asked that every time we prepare some plan and vision, our one side of our mind says that yes, this is a good plan, you can go ahead with that. But while we start onto that path, that some voice from inside says that no, no, it is not achievable, it is very
Right.
difficult, why you have chosen that path, that tries to digress you from the path and demotivate you. How
Yeah.
to reconcile that confusion as a trained counselor and a coach? How do you advise your person to overcome this precarious situation?
So actually, what we say that this is different parts of you which is talking to you. So maybe we can say it is your demon, the negative part, or a judge who is talking, who is always. So we always have different parts in ourselves. One part may be positive, one part may be doubtful or judging. So we. I think the awareness itself, when you say, when you realize that oh my, this part has started talking, is important. So once you know that this is my vision, this is my goal, and this now I'm again feeling low, I'm feeling anxious, I don't know whether I'll be able to achieve or not. So I mean, I can give certain tips, but it varies from individual to individual. What you can do is that the moment you realize that this is happening, you always look into your body. You will feel that there is anxiety coming in, or there is some pressure coming in. So just slow down and start breathing. Have some depending upon your personality, have certain things already planned out whenever you are feeling anxious. If I feel anxious, if I feel doubtful, I'll do this. Maybe I will read a book which you like, maybe I'll go for a walk, maybe I'll go for a jog, I'll play some music. and get yourself out of that negative mind frame. Even reading something on Facebook which you like, or just for a few seconds, so that your anger, anxiety, or whatever is there, you come out of that frame. And then again, when you have calmed down, again start realigning to your vision and dream. I don't know if you guys have read, there is a book called The Secret. This book basically talks about how to get your turn your dreams into reality. So basically, I mean, what your vision or something, it's good to write it somewhere. So if you write, and I do that quite a lot, I write my goals or vision, and I have seen them getting materialized. First is that you define your vision and leave it to the universe, that this is what I want. Second is that start behaving, or creating a situation that you have this thing, and then start receiving it. So one example was, one guy was not getting married, and he wanted to get married. So but his house was very cluttered. There was a single bed, there was no space for somebody to enter. So when he realized this philosophy of secret, he cleaned up his house, he got a double bed, he made space in the house, and very soon he got married. So basically he was ready to receive the things. So I think this book is by Rhonda Byrne. I will put it in the chat. So maybe like the book's name is The Secret. You will find it on Amazon or online. But interesting book to read, and it will help you answer this question.
Great. In fact, you mentioned that the book name is secret, but if the listener or the audience reads it, it will no longer be a secret. Actually, it is a secret till you read it.
Till
So
you
that's the
read it.
secret of your success. And I would advise all the listeners out there to just buy it. Go to the Amazon, invest 100 or 200 rupees, and it can change your fortune or the way you look at things. And definitely, the reading of books also inculcates a lot of positivity to yourself. And I
Yeah.
fully agree with you, Captain Pragya, that good books should be read as a part of career development or personality development. And
Yes.
Secret can, Rhonda is a very well-known famous author, and I was also heard about this, but I have not read it. But since you have told me, I will read it within a week, so that some good points can be learned from that book. Now, our next question is coming from an audience, and she is Nagamani. She is asking, I have a question regarding the participation of women in the combat. Women are not allowed to combat in war field. Is it the physical limitation for the woman is the only reason for putting her aside, or are there any other reasons, ma'am? She is asking you. There is a second part to her question, which I will ask after you answer the first part.
Yeah. So what I will say is that limitation is in the mind, not in your physical aspect. Yes, men and women are physically different, but if you train yourself well, you can. I think if your mind is not limited, you can be anywhere and doing anything. I think recently this movie has been released, Gunjan Saxena. I was watching this, and probably you can see that it will inspire you. That she was again the first one of the first pilots, and she participated in Kargil operation, in the Kargil war, and she was being judged quite a lot. But when she got the opportunity, she just went for it, and she saved the person who was challenging him all the time. So as of now, I think all lady officers are getting. We are not in the fighting arms as such, but given that kind of operations we have had, we got enough opportunity, like Operation Parakram, and then I also participated in Operation Sahayata. So a couple of operations, I was working, I was leading my company. I was leading from front. So and I never felt that just because I was woman, I was not being treated properly. Um, it's a I think army is one place where once you wear the uniform, it is all your ranks for which you are respected. No one looks into you as a woman, and then it's also up to you how you want to be treated and how you let others treat you. So if you stand tall, nobody can put you down. Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree. How you want others to treat you. In fact, the respect lies with you only. The how you perform, how you treat others, how you lead the team, how capable you are. You cannot demand respect just because you have won some rank. You have to lead and you honor that rank. That is what the message is, and it is quite obvious for every rank in every department. You have to earn the respect.
Exactly.
So well said, Captain Pragyan. I will go to the second aspect of our question. What are the challenges women need to face being in the army, which is different from obviously men? What are those challenges which an army lady, army officer faces?
So I think when I was there, see, initially when you get into the training, we have a separate company for women lady cadets. So we were 65 in my group. We were 65 of us, and there were six other companies, and overall there were 300 plus cadets who passed out along with me. So training was definitely tough because I think in India context we are not into too much of physical. So we used to have 25-kilometer route marches with gun and packs and pouches with all the weight. So swimming, horse riding, all these things. I mean, not every girl gets the opportunity to do such kind of thing. So that part is tough, but that part is also tough for guys who gentlemen cadets who would have not done much of physical, and no one does that kind of such rigorous physical activities. No one does. So that part is tough, but that is not we can say that different for boys and different for girls. What is a little different for women is that when you get into in the regiment, like I went joined that time, there were few now overall I think there are 3,500 women officers in India, which is around 10 to 12% I think of overall women officers workforce. But so the thing is that you feel you are the only one, so you feel little lonely. You won't have any other girl beside you to chit chat with you, or do the girly talks. So you are always wearing uniform, and you are part of everything, but yet I think somewhere you miss that girl company sometimes, especially when I was in this Operation Parakram. It continued for more than 14 months, more than a year, I can say. And there was like, we are not going back. So we were staying in tents, and our tents at times used to fly off because of the desert storm. So, all other officers' tents were also like parallelly pitched in along with mine. So it is like little bit different because you have always lived in with your family. You are in a protected environment, and there you are responsible for yourself. So Indian Army will provide you all the support. Everyone gets a helper or a buddy as an officer to help you with your uniform and things like that. So I also had a buddy, but I had a male buddy. I cannot think of having a women as a buddy, because in as till that time, women were not getting are only at officers level and not the below ranks. So there are these things which are very different, and that is the beauty, that you keep adapting. You realize that this is how so when I went for my first exercise, I checked with other lady officers who were posted, and my first posting was in Jodhpur. So I went to other senior lady officers, and I was very apprehensive. Ma'am, how would we stay in the tent, and staying in the mess in the camp is different, and going in the desert and staying in the tent is very different. What all should we do? So she gave me certain tips, and then I spoke to my commanding officer about my requirement. He understood. So for him also it was all new. He didn't have any lady officer before in the regiment, so he also need to ensure that my security, my safety was his responsibility also. But I will say that army is one of the safest places for women, and I never felt any issues there. And I was, always respected and taken care of. And the best part is that you build the rapport you build with people, both officers and men, is forever. You make friends forever. So still my people from my regiment who work with me, they call me, they ask me, ma'am, kaise ho? I go for my raising day. sometimes, and the kind of treatment I get, I mean, that bond is so different. If you have done such kind of operations with those people, it's so different that yeah. So yeah, nothing to worry as such, I would say.
Yeah, I can understand and feel your answers also, because we also have been a part of certain operations and we lived in jungles. And so I can very well understand the bonding that one have with those personnel, and it's lifelong. They call you at times when you don't even know that they will call you. And they're
Correct.
always at you, thinking about you and discussing in chit chats, and just a reminiscence of the old good days. And one thing which I really liked about your answer was the adaptability part. In
Yes.
fact, we as humans are only better than animals because we adapt. And if you look at this quotation of the famous environmentalist and the biologist, which says the survival of the fittest,
Yes.
Darwin. So
Yes.
what by fittest he means that adaptability, the one which can adapt more to the environment will survive. So
Exactly.
man can adapt more than any animal in the world. That's why man rules the planet. So adaptability is what army teaches. And continuing with this adaptability, I would like to ask you a question which is in my mind. How army shaped your mindset and your personality so that you can adapt so well into the corporate sector? This is one aspect. Suppose if you would not have been in the army and your personality would not have been shaped by your 6 or 7 years of your tenure in army, would you have done the same thing in the corporate with so much confidence? Sans army, 7 years of personality development. These two situations I'm putting you. What would have been the case?
Well, I think definitely army has shaped me in such a way that I was not so confident, and probably I would have not become, um, I don't know what career I would have chosen. But yes, army has shaped me in such a way that, I think first and the most important thing is that I always look for a solution. I don't give up. I always have this thing that I'll find some way to do this. So that perseverance which I have learned in army, because army keeps adapting. Army, there are not we are not having, at times we don't have too many things to support us. When you are in jungle, you are doing certain things, so you keep thinking and adapting and changing things with whatever resources you have. So I think that is one strong quality which I learned from our army. And then of course, the training, it gives you so much confidence, how you should be talking as an officer, how you should be carrying yourself as an officer. So I think definitely without, I think, army, I would have been a different person. Yes.
Obviously the training of the army is such that it's lifelong. See, the beauty of the training is that you don't forget it. Becomes a part of your lifestyle. That is why people in the army get so much of reverence, not just because they are in the army, just because they conduct themselves also like that. You won't find them behaving in a manner which demeans their rank or demeans their status or demeans the other. They
Yes.
always are responsible. Even after quitting the army, they are measured in their movements. They think before speaking because they have been taught not to speak what is not actually meant to be spoken. So
Exactly.
those are the traits I find in the army officer, and they are very, very confident. The way they shake the hand, the famous army handshake, the
Yes.
kind of josh they call it. I cannot find English word suitable for that. So I
Yes.
mentioned that josh of the army is to be seen when you shake the hand of the army officers, and they want the person to be positive, always aspiring, always bubbling, because on their shoulders lies the security and the safety of billion, not people, but billion of people,
Exactly.
1.2 billion people.
Yes.
So definitely it's a inspiring career. Those who wish to do can always do. And before we end, we always have a tradition to ask and request our speaker to give the closing remarks, the just the guru mantra which you would like to give to the audience, what they should keep in their life so that they can succeed, what you have learned, the crisp and the beautiful answer to the questions which many people have in their mind about success.
So I would say that it is important that you have a vision and you stick to it. and stay with a positive mind. Always think of that situation as an opportunity to turn into a gift, and just keep moving. You might not see things clearly, but if you keep moving with perseverance, you will find the way. You will reach the end where you want to reach. Yeah.
Thank you. That is the beautiful answer. Keep moving. Do not stay. Keep the perseverance alive. You will absolutely reach the destination. Pragya was mentioning about 14 months in the desert operation Parakram. Can you imagine the perseverance, the patience, the attitude, the ups and the downs, and how the forces must have gone through nature? It's not fighting enemy. Anytime the war can break out. But before the war, the mental war that it is going in the mind, and the way they are conquering nature, the desert, the blizzards, the sand dunes,
Oh,
and
yes.
the hot and atmosphere, that you can just imagine the deserts of Rajasthan. So it's the perseverance, the belief in yourself that keeps you alive. And I'm really, really thankful to you, Captain Pragya, for being such an inspiring personality today, and you have inspired so many of my audience and those so many students who would be going out and making a career for themselves out in the open world. And there were so many people who would be joining army, motivated to join army just because of your lecture. So before we part, I request you to type your email so that they can at least take you as a mentor, and if they have certain doubts in their life, they just want to connect with you and ask you certain things, just email so that they can connect with you if they want to join army or the corporate sector. So that is my
Yes,
humble
sure.
request to you.
Yeah, I'm just typing in. So it's
So
pragyasuresh@gmail.com. And yeah, it's indeed a pleasure, sharing my stories. And thank you, Mr. Shahnawaz, for giving me this opportunity and being a wonderful facilitator. I think you being from IPS background, I think you can understand the situation as you were saying, and I could easily relate with you. So once again, thank you everyone for giving your time, and I wish you lots of success. Anytime you want to reach out to me, my email ID is there, and I would love to provide any guidance I can. Thank you so much.
thank you, Captain Pragya, for inspiring us today, and we'll never forget this session. And with your such inspirational talk, many candidates would be ready to serve the nation in the future. And God bless you. Please stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you, Captain Pragya.
Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.